Hello, everyone. So it's just about 9 o'clock. This is Ian Clark, your SDAR and SD MLS trainer. We're going to be talking about CRS Tax today. And looks like there are a few, two or three people here in the room now. Thank you again for coming. I'm going to share my screen in just a moment. And right before we do get started, I wanted to remind you that you have options on your screen. You can use the Q&A. You can also go into the chat. I should see a little symbol come up on my screen to let me know that you have a question. And hello there. And so go ahead and type in either one of those boxes. I should be able to see and respond as soon as possible. Well, in most cases, go ahead and you're starting to see my screen here, but I will in most cases go ahead and read the question just to let you all know what has been sent over to me, and then I'll give you the answer. All right, so first things first. I always like to start just fresh on this page and show you that we want to get to SDAR.com because that's the most important thing. Let's first go ahead and get started like this. And now when you get to SDAR.com, I think before we even log in, I appreciate that you're all here. And so I'm sure you may have been to the education calendar. Just remember to come up here to education and click on calendar to find out about upcoming classes. I have a CMA, comparative market analysis classes every Friday from 9 to 10:30. So definitely come back for those. And if you have questions on other items, you see this link up here, MLS. And then come right down here. Do you see this Paragon training videos? I have a host of videos that are here on all of the Paragon topics. So if you click on that link, it'll take you into the Paragon training video page. Just scroll down a bit. You'll see Paragon here. And you're going to see all of these great topics. When you click on each of them, you'll see that they're broken down into many different videos. So please take advantage of those. Today, we are scheduled to talk about CRS Tax. Now, CRS Tax is one of the member benefits that you're going to see on your dashboard when you log in. At least that's one of the places that you're going to see it. So let's go ahead and log in first. I'm going to click on here and get logged in. Perfect. So once you do that, you're going to get into our familiar dashboard. And well, I guess right away, you're initially going to see this screen. And this is just a reminder that we have the most recent listing stats for San Diego included. And as you can see here, it's actually a little easier for me to see on this screen just because I wear glasses. But you'll be able to see your new listings, listings sold and active listings. And that's in San Diego County. It is updated every Tuesday. And this is just a little reminder that we have that information for you right over here. So let's click on that X to close that window and take a look. Here we are at the stats that are here for you. Remember, that's updated every Tuesday. So take a look here for that information. So today, as I said, we're looking at CRS Tax, and that's the icon that you see over here. Now, you can click on this icon here. If you are already in Paragon, that's fine as well. If you're in Paragon, there is an icon at the top of the screen that says tax. Here it is right over here. And from the tax icon, when you click on it, you can also get into CRS Tax. Either way is going to be fine to open up that program. So let's go ahead and click on there. Or feel free to click on your other button, and the page is going to open up just like this, or pretty similar. I have my picture already included here, and I will show you that a little later on in the settings, but I want to go through this page with you first. So again, we can customize this page to have your picture, your name, your title. You can have a little saying on here, have it branded however you'd like. And again, I'll show you how to get that updated. But when you are on this page, most are coming in to either to do a property search. With the property search section, you're going to be able to find out information on a home, like the owner's information or the square footage. Maybe you want to know how big that lot is. What are there any? What are the taxes? Are there any Melloroos? All of these sorts of things can be ascertained by just simply opening up one of the property reports. When you're searching for a property, of course, there are many ways to search. As you see down here in this box, you can type a name, an address, subdivision APN, or an MLS number. Bear in mind, if you are going to type a name, you will want to start with the last name first, then just put a space, no comma, and then begin typing in the first name like that, okay? You'll want to do it this way, no commas and last name first, okay? Excellent. So that's just a little something to help you out as far as that goes. When you want to type an address, let's go ahead and try typing this one in down here. 3684. Do you see how, as we're typing, we get a pick list? So it's automatically searching right now for anything that matches the address. And once you get to the street and you type in about 3 or 4, oh, I'm sorry, this address was one that actually was is in Temecula that I was searching for, so I apologize for that happening. Currently, I'm only looking in San Diego. You actually have the ability to add up to 3 different counties here in this box at one time. So for instance, if I did choose to add in Riverside, because I was doing a search in that system as well, now this address should appear exactly because I have the Riverside County in. Okay, but as you're typing in an address, you'll see it appear on the page. And when you do, it's a good idea to go ahead and click on it. Because I want to show you examples in San Diego, we're going to go ahead down to that second address and type this one in for you. And I want to take you into a report to show you what it looks like. And then we're going to delve deeper into the different ways to search. So, because I like to show you at least what you are really searching for. Okay, so we have an address pulled up, just that simple on our page. You'll still see these tabs at the top. Those two will generally always be there at the top of the page. We're going to scroll down. Notice that you have an option to email, save, print. We can go to a next or a previous report. And in this case, there's only one. So that's why these are not highlighted. Had we done a search producing 10 results, we'd be able to click to our next, and so on and so on. Do we want to save this report? Do we want to have a quick link into the MLS information? So those are great bits to have here. And I do also want you to take just a quick notice of these. We'll go through most of those options for you. CRS Tax not only will allow you to do a search like this and see information, basic information about a home, but you're also able to get comparables and I actually teach a class on comps. As a matter of fact, as I mentioned, we'll be teaching a class on Friday, tomorrow, on different comps. CRS Tax is one of the topics that we cover in our series. So we'll definitely go over that at a different time. However, the prospecting and the facts and figures we will talk about a little later on. Notice how we have prospecting here and a prospecting button here. Okay, just remember that for later. Also included with the general information on our page, we have facts and figures, which will include anything from school information to subdivision information and even area statistics. Great information to have on hand to give to your client, especially someone that may be new to the area. Let's continue down on the report. And of course, we see a great, lovely picture. And if you go ahead and click over here, we can advance to see more pictures. Obviously, this will expand out to make a bigger picture if you want to see it a little larger on your screen. The same with the map. And obviously it gives us the dimensions of the lot, which is amazing that we no longer have to use any measuring tools. It just gives it to you right here on the page. There are some basic options that are here on the map. However, they are really simple, just changing the view, zooming in and out. There are a lot of great map options available that I will show you a little later on when we are viewing a larger map, and especially when we get over into the prospecting section. So don't worry there, we will get into the mapping as well, because I think that's really important, especially if you are using the system for prospecting. So again, let's continue down to show you the report. We're going to get into the location information. We'll also see, obviously here, the property summary, whether or not it's residential, single family home, or otherwise known as the detached in our system. The square footage, again, the basic information. And then here we are with the current owner info. This is why a lot of people are coming into the system. And if it is that you're looking for owner information, again, the prospecting section will be a wonderful time for you to take some great notes. Notice as well on here, as we scroll through, there are a couple of links. And we're going to see those as we scroll through the page. In each of the sections, you can click here to get more detailed information. So you can get your Sandag report, print, or save this to provide that over to your clients as well. And here, this just actually gets you over to the county assessor's site if you want to delve in deeper on your own. But I want you to also notice that there are a few other things you can click on as we're coming down the page, like these document numbers. If you need to view the deed, you can click on the number. I believe there is a small fee that the assessor charges to view them online. But you'll see here that all of the sales history is available to you. The sales history will go back, I believe, about 22 to 20, almost 25 years. I believe is as far back as the information goes currently. We're going to get into the tax assessment and then the taxes. And I want you to really take a look at this one here. This is where we're going to see a breakdown of the taxes. And clicking on here will give you a quick idea as to where the money is going. Again, you can save or print this out if you wish to give that over to your client to show them a breakdown. The mortgage history is also here. So, again, this is also very helpful, I think, in the prospecting section, which I'll point out later on as well. You can see how much someone still owes on their home based upon the last time that they took out a mortgage. The foreclosure history is here. And then now we're going to get into the property characteristics. You're going to notice some of the fields, that are, that are basically blank, that won't have much information like most of these. This system is used in many, many different, counties and states and probably countries. And so these are just not filled in by our particular assessor office. This is why you may scroll through and see some fields blank. So let's get through this section here. We can see that there is definitely a two-car parking garage is what that would mean. We can continue down to get lot information, anything available about the utilities, which generally is going to be just these two fields, the zoning and the school district. Any legal description, flood information, and at the very bottom, any listing archive. And of course, this comes in directly from the MLS. Again, at the bottom, you have the option to email, save, print. And you will always see either original or condensed. I would overall suggest that you do the original. The condensed is fairly tiny in print. However, it is going to get your report down to 1 page. So that is something to consider. But again, the original is a little easier for me to read. Now, when you go to click on print, and I'm going to go ahead and click on original just so you can see what happens here, you're going to get the entire report. We're going to scroll through and we're going to see everything because we have everything open. Well, maybe there are certain fields that you don't really care about or that you don't want to share with your client or to whomever you were going to share this report. What you can do, let's say if maybe you don't want to share the owner information, maybe that's private. Let's just go ahead and click right there. By clicking here, it's going to remove it from the page. When print is used, that would also be removed. Maybe you want to scroll down and also get rid of the mortgage history, or possibly even the, at the bottom, or I'm sorry, maybe in, in this field here. Do we need to have the bedrooms and bathrooms down here? I believe it's up at the top as well. Maybe you might want to close that section, or even the idea of getting rid of the listing archive so that way they don't see what, and again, if you're giving it to someone that's trying to sell their, to buy the home, so they don't see what it sold for the last time, you can go ahead and click on there to hide it. And again, when you go into print, the owner information and listing information, you'll see there'll just be blank spaces. So that's a quick way to hide information that you don't want to share. And that's going to work with emailing and printing. So it's a pretty detailed report, what they provide to us. And as I said, we're going to find this basic information out for any address in California. This system, CRS Tax, will allow you to search anywhere in California. I'm going to go ahead and click on this arrow or the bar and drag us back up to the top so I can get to show you what's up here. There's always an option to click back to search. If you do that, we're going to, of course, go back to our original search page. And I said you can have up to 3 different counties. I usually just leave my primary one listed here. But if you search in multiple counties, maybe that may be useful for you. Now, in this box, as I showed you before, we were able to search with an address, or we can search with the name, as I showed you with my name. You can type in APN. If it were an APN as you began typing it in, I don't believe we need the dashes. Let's see here. No, yeah, we will need the dashes to be included on here. So let's see if we could just make one up. Well, yeah, it looked like I was doing well there. So yes, you will need to include the dashes. And of course, generally with San Diego, it's going to be 3 numbers, 2 numbers, and then 00 if it's a single family home. So you're able to search with one of these fields. Well, maybe you met someone and you got their last name, and they lived on this on a certain street, but you weren't really sure, what the address was. How can you use some of the information to get the rest? Some of what you have to get the rest of the information. That's what our advanced search and even the map search would be used for. Let's click on advanced search. Initially, we will see the map, and we're going to scroll down. Just remember that if you are going to, when you do scroll down the page, to move your mouse over here. If you start to scroll when your mouse is on the map, it's just going to start zooming in and out like crazy. So save yourself that trouble. If you've already done that, go ahead and just refresh your page and we'll get and start fresh. It happens to us all sometimes as we're scrolling down the page. Okay, so remember, bring your mouse over to the left or the right. We're going to see a map. And of course, we can move the map manually and get to a search location. If we wanted to search, here, we can click and then zoom on in and choose a specific place. You'll see the mapping lines, or excuse me, the parcel lines fill in as we get close enough. And you could make an amazingly exact search just by using the polygon tool here on the right-hand side. This spyglass is going to reveal to you all of your drawing tools. If you only wanted to search in a very specific area, you could click on here, use whichever tool you'd like, either polygon, rectangle, the radius, which would be a square, a circle, or the freehand. The polygon was always my favorite until freehand became available because it really is super simple. I clicked on freehand, and so now I'm just taking my mouse wherever I want to start. And let's say I want to get these 4 units or blocks, whatever it is. I want to get this general area. Let's click and hold the mouse, and now I'm just simply going to move the mouse. And I'm going to come down and then around. And I'm just going to keep on holding and keep on moving until I get back around to where I want to stop. And now I'm going to let go. Now my search or my drawing is complete. If there are, of course, and I'm sure there are going to be matches, we can scroll down, click on search, and see what we find in this particular area. But I also want to take you in farther, because not only do we have the map, we're able to search by multiple fields. And that's what I was mentioning initially, right before we came over here. Maybe the street name, but you're not sure of the person, or maybe, and so you want to put in different bits of information that This is where you can do that. So we could type in Main Street. And again, as we type here, it's going to ask us to select the appropriate option that we want. I'm going to go ahead and just choose Main. And notice the comma there. You can type in multiple streets. That is another option for you. The same with the city. APN. Note that if you are searching for an APN, you don't necessarily need to type the whole APN in. If you were to do partial, you could do that. So let's just do, if we did 010, and you wanted everything that started like this, just click right outside the box and do your search this way. That would also be a wonderful option if you wish to search with a partial APN. Let's scroll down a little farther. Subdivision name, subdivision block, track number, if you happen to have something like that from the assessor. I know a lot of you are at least a lot of our agents that have been around for a little while are very, very, very familiar with the map code, page, column, and row. And so for those of you that are very familiar, with that sort of system, you can actually use that information to do your search. I know for a while that was not included anywhere in the MLS, and so it's kind of nice that they have this back now. So that's the bottom, and I want to scroll up just to show you that this was the search by location section, and we're scrolling down, and we see a submit button. But I can obviously you can see that there are more fields. You can continue scrolling down to enter in more data. There are going to be other submit buttons. Overall, this is one entire search page. So no matter where you are, after you've filled in whatever fields you'd like, you can click any of those submit buttons. Notice here we can search with the last sale price, the sales within the last 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. These will come in handy a little later on when we talk about prospecting. Searching by property characteristics. Maybe you want to know how many homes in the area that we have selected at the top are have more than 2,000 square feet. So we could put a 2,000 in here. This will be the minimum square. That's the lot square footage. Excuse me, total building square feet. So say we only want to take into consideration homes that are 2,000 square feet or more. This is one way we could do that in the area that we designated up higher on the map. Obviously, there are bedrooms and bathrooms here as well. The last couple of sections here deal with the owner information and the current name, the current owner, as opposed to a previous owner. If you want to know, what was that building that so-and-so used to own? Well, we could just type previous owner, put their name in there, and come up with all the times that we could find their name in the system as a previous owner of a building. That actually can be fairly useful if you're looking for investors, I think. And then finally, searching by MLS listing. If you only want to see results that are, say, on the market, or maybe that have expired because you want to contact them, you can eliminate homes from your list depending upon status. So there are so many different fields that you can add to your search, but no matter what you add in, just click any of those submit buttons and you're going to get in to see your results. And I'm just scrolling back up to see if I have any contradictory information. Yeah, we don't want the name, and since I have a map shape, we have 2,000 square feet. So let's click on submit. Let's see if we have any homes that are more than 2,000 square feet in that little area. Okay, so apparently there are, which is great. And so we're going to see our results. Whatever criteria you want to do in your search to find your area, you can definitely do. Notice that you can add other criteria on the left-hand side to narrow down the results that you have here on the page. Maybe you have too many and you say, well, I only really want to deal with the ones that were sold in the last couple of months. So we can come over, bring our mouse over here, and then once the calendars appear, say we only want to see the last sales in the last, we'll say since March 1st. Let's click on here, and we can move the mouse away and notice that the date has been added, okay? If we want to update the results, we're going to scroll down and click on Update Results. And of course, none of, unfortunately, happened recently. So that's not going to work well for us, but you get the idea. So let's get back. Let's get those results back on the page. There we are. So let's say we completed our search. When you are here on the page, click on any not the MLS number. Click on any address to open up the full report, so you can compare and contrast the different homes. All the same information is here, just as if we had done the search by typing in a simple address. The other thing I want you to notice is that a few of these have these little houses. The ones that have homes next to them, and you see different colors, this would mean that they've been listed on the MLS. If you put your mouse over the little home, it's going to give you the most recent information. Green means that it is active. Blue is that it's been sold. There's an actual little key at the very top of the page that sometimes that you may have missed. Pre-foreclosure and auction there. So as you're scrolling through, that's something else to take into consideration. If you've typed in or you're monitoring your neighborhood or your farming territory, as you're going through, if you see any of those foreclosures or auctions, that could be a sign you may want to reach out to those people. Maybe try to get them on the market, get their home sold before they foreclose. And there are specific searches for just looking for foreclosures. I will show you that as well. Notice here we scroll down to the bottom of the page and we see that we're just viewing up to the first 15 results. If you have a large number of results that you want to see on the page at one time, you can click on here and then choose up to 30 at one point. At the bottom of the page, you're going to see a few options. We can remove checked items. So maybe we come through and we say, you know what, I like everything except for this address. We're just going to remove that checked one. Maybe you want to go through and say, okay, no, I like this one. I like this one. I like this one. I like this one. And I like this one too. And this one. And you're doing this as you go through. Then at that point, you'd come to the bottom and say, keep checked. So it just really depends on which way you think, if you want to subtract or if you want to keep the ones that are there. But the system will allow you to do it either way. When you have your list here, there are generally two things you're going to do. You're either going to want to mail to the properties or we're going to export the list. Now, when you click on mail to properties and I'm going to show you this exactly. So when we click on here, we're seeing I clicked on mail. I'm going to click back over here and I'm going to take you back down and we're going to click on export. I just want to show you that it does do something a little bit different in this section of the system. When you are working here in the in the property search section, exporting that list is just going to export the basic information on these homes. Okay, whereas mailing to properties is going to take you into the next step where we can actually customize what we want our merge file to look like, whether or not we want to address them with their first or last name, if we want to include the Mr. or Mrs. Or excuse me, down here in the labels, including the Mr. or Mrs. If you wish to add in, including a current resident. And then choosing the type of labels. These are the most common. You don't need to buy this specific brand, but definitely look for that number of labels, either 51, 60, 61, or 62. Notice that when 60 is selected, we have 10 to a column, and there are 3 columns. 5161 is a different format. So just make sure that you're getting the correct number, not necessarily the correct brand. That would be what you'd really want to look for. If you're using a brand new page, you just simply keep that right there. Maybe you printed 10 labels the day before and you have a used page and you want to use the rest of those labels. We're going to click there to tell the system that you need to create your report starting on label number 11 and then continue down, so we're not wasting any information. One last thing before I would recommend clicking on create to create any labels in this manner, which I meant to take you to before, was right here, document format. It defaults to PDF. I would recommend that if you are going to create labels, you want to be able to manipulate the data on your own. Maybe there's an extra comma or there's a misspelling, or you want to remove a spouse's name that maybe isn't a spouse anymore or something like that. So that's always, I think, a good option to click here and choose MS Word. This way, when we create the labels, it's going to put it into a Word document and we can open that Word document and make those changes that I mentioned. When we click on here, it's going to then prompt us to save. I'm going to go ahead and save it. I'm going to open that up. It's going to open up in Word, and I want to show you Of course, now here we didn't start at the top, we're in space 11, and then we continue down the page for the rest of the ones that we had selected. If we wanted to make a change, because we don't want to mail it out with dates, we'll just simply click there and change the data. Oh, I need to click at the top of my page to edit. But again, you're getting the idea. My edit button, unfortunately, I think is blocked by my screen sharing. So, but for all of you, right here at the top of the page, in that yellow bar that you're seeing, you'll be able to click on edit, and then, oh wait, there we go. Now I'm able to click on it. Perfect. So we're going to enable editing. Let me move my other thing out of the way. Okay, perfect. And once you enable your editing, then you can click in here, go ahead and make your changes. So it's a pretty simple program to use. Let's go back over here. Okay, so that is an example of how to create the labels. I'm going to use the back arrow to go back. You can do that when you're in CRS Tax. I would definitely not recommend it when you're in Paragon, because that's going to take you back to the very, very beginning and refresh your page. Okay, so I want to show you, I want to go ahead and click right here on property search. That's going to refresh things for us here, and it's going to take us back to the first page. And I want you to notice that we have our recent property searches. When you scroll down here, you can see initially the first 5. You can click on here to see up to the last 20. And believe it or not, if you click view more, they tell us it's going to keep on going until your first search, or but I mean, it's I'm not really sure why you need to go back that far, but at any rate, you can go back quite a ways. Now, remember, these are properties that we search for, or the most recently searched for. Now, notice on this side, these are saved property reports. Let's say we click on and open this report, and we want to save it. Well, there we are. We can click on save because we know we need to come back and look at this report again. Well, sure enough, it's going to be here now in our saved reports. Because while this page is generally going to show us our 5 most recent, maybe we know that we're going to do a lot of searching and we need to get back to this address. So we can quickly save it just by doing that. The last bit of the property search is here on foreclosure. Now, I mentioned that there's a foreclosure symbol that you can see on homes that kind of looks to me like a little clock. However, if you are specifically looking for foreclosures, what you can do is come to this icon right here, and we're going to click once with your left mouse button, or maybe we're going to do it again. There we go. Okay, now that this comes up, again, we're going to see our county here, and immediately we will see our foreclosure type. Let's click the drop down so you can see your options. Are you looking for just auctions, pre-foreclosures, releases, or do you want all of them? In this search, let's go ahead and just put on pre-foreclosures. Again, maybe we can, maybe you can look for these people and do some door knocking or send out flyers and let them know that you can help get their home onto the market and sold, so they can maybe make a little cash before their home is foreclosed upon, and at the very least, hopefully break even, so that way they would be able to buy another home in the future. So again, all of these fields are open to you. If you were in here specifically looking for a document number or a specific defender, just like the owner name, you can go ahead and type into those boxes. When it comes to the pre-foreclosure or even the auction, any of those options, the file date can be important. If something's in pre-foreclosure, I guess it either is in pre-foreclosure or it has been foreclosed upon. However, if you are looking for items, that are actually foreclosed on already, then you may want to put a a certain date range in. Let's look at a specific location. Maybe you have a specific zip code that you work in. Let's put a zip code here. Let's put one in for Oceanside. And so we're looking for pre-foreclosures in this zip code. And again, these are the fields that we have. You can fill in as many or as few as you'd like and see how many results you get. Because again, if you are looking for pre-foreclosures, you want to kind of keep that wide open. So let's go ahead and click on Submit. And we're going to see that there are quite a few. So now, as we look through here, we're going to see our little symbol that yes, it is in pre-foreclosure, and it was sold. Now, it was sold, it looks like most recently on 2/15. Now, is it in pre-foreclosure right now? That's something that we'd need to click on here to find out. Let's scroll down. And we're going to get to the foreclosure history. So it looks like it had a pre-foreclosure here, but then was released on 5/15, presumably after the home was purchased. Let's see, what was the purchase history? Yeah, date recorded. So it's sometime after the home was purchased. So I would think that if that has been released, they're most likely going to be updating that to a release. Oh, I see. Okay, so this is actually a perfect example. So because of the time frame, because of the search that I did, I didn't narrow down the time frame. I just said I wanted to look for any home that had been in pre-foreclosure. So in doing so, I think actually going back to that file date, that makes it even more important, really, to make sure we include that no matter which no matter which sort of foreclosure status we're looking for. So let's see if we can look back. Let's go 1 to 3 months, go to the first, and let's click on Update Results. Okay, so now when we click on here, we're going to see this one's in foreclosure. Pre-foreclosure, excuse me. We'll see that confirmed here. And then when we get down to our foreclosure section, again, a more recent date. So that file is definitely, file date is definitely going to be, I think, a useful and necessary tool when you're using the foreclosure search. So definitely be sure to include in your foreclosure date, especially with pre-foreclosures, because it's just saying that, yes, there was a pre-foreclosure on, but this is saying, yes, within the specific time. And again, if we click up here, it's just going to take us back into our property search, and then again, back to the beginning. I'd like to show you the power prospecting section. And the power prospecting section is generally the reason that most people come to the tax system. I mean, yes, they will come here and search for a specific address. Maybe you're trying to do a comp and you want to see what other homes are like mine, what's happening. But in general, people are coming here to do prospecting, the idea of finding new leads. So I'm going to click on power prospecting, and you're going to notice that we see a map similar to what we saw on the advanced search. And similarly, you can click on, we can click on the map and move and zoom in, and we can choose a specific location. We can also go down to note that, or to make that location, search by the zip code to get to the specific location. Maybe we want a specific zip code or a specific subdivision that we want to find out about. So I'm going to scroll through first just to show you the few fields that are here. These are some of the more basic fields that you have available on your search page. And I bring you down here first just to show you that while there are just these few fields here that you can see, there's a button right here that says Edit, which will allow you to add fields to this page. So I would like to show you how to click on Edit Criteria. And I want you to notice that it does take us into the section where it says Prospecting, Edit, Search Fields. It's taking us into the section that we need to be in, all right? Now, I also want you to notice that it says here, 12 of 30 selected. In the Power Prospecting search fields, you can have up to 30 search fields. I'm clicking on Tax and Assessment to reveal the assessment and tax options. Currently, I only have assessment value included over here on the right-hand side. Maybe I want to include exemptions. I can click that item and it's going to be added over here to the bottom of the list. I can adjust that list by clicking on the arrows and moving it up and down. And I just clicked and I held the mouse button down, the left one, and then started moving the mouse up or dragging it. And now I'm going to release the mouse button, and there it is. So again, these are showing me the fields that I currently have on my page. These are all of the available options. Let's click on Characteristics. Now again, we can see all of the different characteristics that we have to search with. Stories can be important. Let's click there. Again, it's been added. We already have year built. Parking spaces, again, depending on the type of search that you're doing, and if you were doing a comp, that could be an important field to include. Whether or not there is a pool. But whatever fields you feel are important, just remember that there is a maximum of 30. Let's click on listing information. Sorry about how the page is scrolling down like that. Listing information, if you were searching for listing, let's click on location. And we already have an APN search in the beginning, but again, if you want to maybe search for partial APN, that could be useful on your power prospecting. Maybe you want to search for partial APN because it's getting a specific neighborhood and then, enlarge, but then you're going to narrow it down by how many bedrooms or bathrooms or which ones have a larger yard, if you know that there are different models in those in the neighborhood that was selected. There are lots of different reasons to use so many of these fields. You almost have to use your imagination and to trying to figure out what can I do with this data. So if you were doing a search in here and we're looking for people that have owned their home for a long amount of time. You may be able to, we can do that sort of search and say, okay, well, the last sale date of this home was so long ago. We can look at the mortgage information once we get to your list of results and see when is the last time they received a new mortgage. If it's been a long time, we're going to know they have equity. And then you're going to say, okay, well, maybe those people I will really look into. So again, you're using the information that is here, that's public knowledge, but using it to your advantage so you can try to gain new clients. And it's great to have the little information on, in your back pocket. When you go door knocking, you'll know ahead of time, okay, maybe this may be an older client that wants to sell their home and buy something new, or did we see that they're are in pre-foreclosure, or maybe their home unfortunately is already in auction now, so we're going to maybe skip past that home and go on to the next property. because they've already gone past where you would be able to help them. So you can use this information in so many different ways. Really be imaginative. Uh, Down here is another common field, owner occupied, and I do have that on my page as well. Again, looking for new clients. Searching for owner occupied is extremely, I think, extremely important. This will allow you to, number one, you'll see what's going on in a particular neighborhood. Are there people that own the home, like actually living there? A lot of times, the neighborhood will tend to be a little better, or at least as I've heard, if the owners are living in in the homes that they own. So maybe someone may not want to buy in a particular area. So that could be something important to know, that they don't want to live near a bunch of renters that may be in and out of the neighborhood. But if you are looking for new clients, the owner occupied is a pretty amazing tool. So when you find when we add this field, we can look for homes basically where the owner is not there, is living in state, is living out of state, has a different mailing address. In those circumstances, you can send out marketing mailers to the owners to their mailing address and let them know, show them what the market is doing in the neighborhood and say, look, there's been an amazing increase from the time that you bought the home. I think maybe it's time for you to put the house on the market, take all the money that you're going to make on this great deal, and let's put it into another property, and I'll help you find that one too. Okay, so that mailer is going out. Then you send one to the actual physical location, to the renter, and you explain to them, hey, the market is going up. You need to get in now. Let me educate you on the different programs that are available to help you get the loan that you need, and I'm going to help you buy your first home. So you can, again, you have to use your imagination sometimes, but you can really use use the information in the MLS to really get, or excuse me, in the tax system to really gain new clients. And so those are just some examples just from some of the fields that I was, as we were going through. Again, here are sales information. Again, last sales price. That can be important as well, depending upon the type of client that you are looking for. If you see that, maybe they bought their home so long ago, and they maybe the market was really, really high when they bought, and so they bought at a really high price. Now things are stabilized, and so they're not going to be likely to put their home on the market because they're going to want to put it on for a ridiculously high price that they're not going to be able to get maybe in today's market. So a last sales price can be useful depending upon the neighborhood that you are working in. So again, using your imagination is really key when you're dealing with this data, and focusing on, I guess, the type of clients that you're looking for first. Like maybe, decide that you're going to look for empty nesters, one day, or maybe empty nesters in one area, and then move to a different area, and then another area, and then focus on people that, focus on a different group on the next week. However you choose to break it up. But I would say to kind of focus, get an idea of who you are aiming for. And then we can customize these fields based upon what you want to do in your search, or who you are trying to attract as a client. When these fields are completed, we're just simply going to click on Save. Settings will be saved immediately there. And we'll need to then go ahead and click the back arrow to get back to our search page. You'll see that the fields that I added are also here, the APN, the tax exemption, and I think I added one or two others as well. So all of those fields are now here for you. So when prospecting, for the most part, I think people are using the map you're going to want to zoom in and get to a specific location that you have interest in. I'm going to come up to my old neighborhood here in Oceanside, and let's see what's happening up there. So let's zoom in. And we'll go right over here. Yes, here it is. Okay, perfect. So we'll come over into this area and we're gonna, and let's see what's happening. And I like choosing this area because there's lots of different homes. This whole section over here are all mobile homes, and these were like in the 80s. These I think were in like the late 90s, and so there's a whole bunch of different things. So I think it's a good example. Especially, when you are doing searches in certain areas, you are going to get different types of homes. So it can be important, if you are doing a search, like we're doing today and in a larger area, that we have certain fields down here, like, like whether or not it's a single family home or not, because you may want to make sure to exclude anything else. So just bear that in mind. That can also be a reason to change up some of those fields. Also, something to consider is when you're making your shape in the area, in your target area, ultimately knowing your territory is really going to be key. And so if you know already that these homes are not going to be applicable, let's just click here and go around that whole area, and we'll just subtract the stuff that we don't want. So we'll come over here and we'll just come back up and around and down. And just that easy, we've drawn really odd and unique shape. But the reason I like to do this is just to really show you how exact you can be when you're doing your search. I personally think that the freehand, while it is a lot of fun, you aren't getting a straight line. So my personal opinion is that polygon is the best. I know there's some of you out there are not really as inclined to use the polygon tool. I happen to like that one because you can get a very detailed shape, but you also know that once you click on it, you're going to get a straight line, so that you are definitely including all of the area that you are interested in. And I sometimes think that that can be a little better. And you'll see here I'm just clicking before I change direction, and I think that that can be better sometimes. That's up for you to to decide. But my vote is generally for the polygon tool. But however you choose to draw your shape, you're going to I chose to include it, and we could click right here just to search, or we can continue down to add in any other criteria. And again, maybe we're looking for absentee owners in that area. And does it matter if they're in state or out of state? Sometimes when a absentee owner is marked as absentee and they are in state, it can be that maybe they just have a post office box as their mailing address. It is a possibility. It's usually less likely if they are out of state. Again, that's up to you to decide. In this particular instance, I'm going to leave them open. Just note that we are going to have any absentee owner, meaning that the mailing address for the owner is going to be different than the physical address of the home. And again, we can put any other criteria if we only want to deal with bedrooms, or excuse me, bigger homes of 3 bedrooms or more. We could do that. If we wanted to come over here to land use and make sure that we're only dealing with single family homes, we can do that as well. maybe if you're not sure of what's in the area, you can come down here to make sure that you select single family home and that you're only getting those in your list. Let's go ahead and click on submit. And we're going to continue down. Sometimes when you click submit, depending on the size of your screen, especially if submit is right here on your screen and you click it, it sometimes doesn't appear that anything has happened. And unfortunately, the only thing you'll notice is that the scroll bar over here has moved. But don't be alarmed if you click submit and it doesn't seem like anything happens. Use your mouse and start scrolling down, or come to the right and find this bar on the right-hand side. And I know it sounds really kind of silly, but it's actually, it can frustrate a lot of people, when you're clicking this and clicking and clicking, and it doesn't seem like anything ever happens. So I don't want you to ever be frustrated. So we're going to scroll down, and we're going to see immediately we have 253 properties meeting the criteria that we specified. Up here, it's going to tell us how many exports are remaining. That's actually important to note. You have 5,000 exports per month, okay? And so 5,000 individual exports per month. Now, that number is renewed on the 1st of every month. So right now it's the 27th. If you haven't done any exports and you want to do some prospecting, get as many as you can done before the end of the month, and then you'll have another 5,000 come the 1st. Okay, so let's scroll down, and we're going to start seeing, obviously there are 253. We're not going to look through all of those, but what I want to show you is here at the bottom of the screen. We see the address, the APN, the square footage, the bedrooms, the bathrooms, the owner. There is a little scroll bar that'll take you over to show you a bit more if you wish to see any other data on this particular page. Unfortunately, yes, you have to scroll back up top to see what the headings are. So it's a little unfortunate that you have to do that. However, you can get that extra data by scrolling along the bottom. And just like before, you'll see the checked items. If you wish to take check marks away and then say we want to keep the ones that are checked, that's fine. If you want to do it the reverse way and say I want to click on this one and this one and this one, and I want to remove those, that works too, whichever way you would prefer. But now proceeding to the export and labels, the page looks pretty much the same as it did before. You see, it's pretty much exactly the same. What I would recommend in the exporting process is that on here, the skip records with no zip code, because that's not going to go out if you're doing mailing labels. This one here, skip records with no zip +4, and I would generally take that check mark away, because as long as there is a zip code, something can be delivered. You don't necessarily need the +4. So removing that, I would generally recommend. Also remove exact duplicates, and that is already going to be check marked for you. So other than just removing that check mark, this section I think is going to be okay for you. Let's continue down. Here in this section, it's basically saying which report do you want to export? And there are all these options, these 4 over here and another 5. So you have all these 9. And the biggest question always is, well, what's the difference between all these reports? Well, you can see the difference by clicking on the question mark. When you click on the question mark, it's going to show you a list of the fields that you're going to get, okay, and what they are. Now, I would recommend clicking on using this one, the Property Data Excel. The Property Data Excel, it's going to show you these columns. This is the highest number of columns. This is basically all of the information that can be exported. So I would highly recommend using that option rather than anything else, because if you get some information, let's say maybe you don't want the year built, okay, then you can just simply erase that field from your Excel file. as opposed to, see, with the 36 that we get here, if we were to do the address Excel, you're going to get 9. And I'd say in comparison, we'd much rather have more information than less information, I think. So in my opinion, when exporting, I would always come here to do property data Excel. And remember, you can always click on the little question mark to get confirmation if you're not sure. It's going to remind us here how many reports we are about to export. Because remember, we have a 5,000 maximum for the month. So it just gives you this number here to confirm. And then we can click on export. It's going to immediately create, ask us to save a CSV file. Name it whatever you like and click on save. And once it's saved, I'm going to go ahead and click on it here to open it up. And everything is going to be organized here, column by column. All 36 columns will be here for you. So if you have a mail merge that you need to do, you can just send this file in or work with this one directly. All the fields are individual, or each have one piece of data. So it's really a great tool for importing. So I'll go ahead and close that. And you'll see here, when you continue down, there are the options for creating labels, just like we saw when we were in the property search section. So if you wanted to take these addresses and these people and mail to them, this would be a way of doing that. And in the same process, I'd go ahead and click on MS Word, choose the appropriate label that you want to start with, and then click on Create Labels. And that's going to create. And now, one thing is that it's not going to take away from your export number. So you can create as many labels as you'd like. That's never going to remove that number. And just remember that once that's saved and you open it up, we're going to see it start wherever you told it to begin, and then it's going to continue down until we get to the end of that list. Just remember that you can enable the editing and then make changes if you wish. Let's close out of here. So in a nutshell, that is CRS Tax. The item that I did not cover, and which we'll go over now, is actually in the profile and settings. And now, one of the reasons that I actually go over the profile and settings last is because, at least in my opinion, it's a little confusing. I'll show you why in just a second, okay? So let's click on here. So we see a lot of different buttons here, and they all give you very similar similar information once we get past the beginning. And so I'd like to show you this here just last, so we can go through them quickly and get your branding and basic information set. All right. So we just simply went to Profile and Settings, and as the page loads, here we are. I would recommend coming down and dealing with the branding first. Notice that branding is right here on the top of the page, and we're on branding preferences, okay? So that just lets us know which section. We have all of these other sections that we can go through. Not all are necessary for setting up the system, but I do want to show you how to get in and out of those really quickly, and where they will send the information, because I think that's important to know. So obviously we have your picture here. I'm going to remove my picture. If you have nothing in that screen, you're just going to click here to upload photo. You're going to, I think the hardest part is always finding where the picture is. Once you have found your picture, you're going to click on it, double click on it, and there we go. it's going to come up to confirm that, yes, this is you. Do you want to crop it? Maybe you want to bring it up here to make it more of just a headshot, and we don't need the rest of the shirt. We're going to crop it just like that. That is definitely a possibility. We can update your name. Maybe you go by a nickname. You can type that in. You can put in your title, update your phone number, your email address, and any personal note or saying or phrase, a motto that you live by, whatever you'd like can go in there. And just remember, it's going to be seen at the top of the page here, and if you email anything out or print. So definitely something that you'd want to share with others. When you get that settled upon, we're just simply going to click on Save. You'll get a confirmation right next to the Save, right here, Settings, Saved. So going into the next one, email address, obviously that's pretty simple. You type your email address and hit Save. Very, very easy. Default county search. Again, most have just San Diego in here. You can have up to 3 for your default. Search settings, simple, advanced, or map. Now, the simple would be the page that we first saw when we first opened up, where it just shows us, well, here, I'll click on here to show you, where it just simply shows us property search, power prospecting, okay? And for most, you want to leave it on this page. You're going to come in here to type someone's name or type an address, hit submit, get your information, and go on with your day. Now, what it's asking is whether or not you want to see that main page, or if you want to go into the advanced section, or if you'd rather just start on the map first. Those are other options for you. If you want, you can make those changes. The map directions, these again for one-time things. Actually, well, I'll actually make the change today because I need to update my address here. But what you'll do is you'll just go ahead and type in your address. Johnson Court, San Diego 92111. There we go, and let's click on Save. And there we go, that has been saved. Pretty easy as we're going through. Saved criteria, saved results. These are different searches and searches that have been saved, and also reports. If we wanted to erase them, that gives us the opportunity here on this page to erase or edit. The custom result list, these are the fields that you see. Now, when you complete a search, do you remember a little bit ago I said we have to, when we get to our results, we're going to scroll down to the bottom, and then there's a bar, and we can scroll it over to the side to see the remaining fields. Well, this is a place where you can choose what those remaining fields are. Again, not as common of a section, but the availability is here. So if there are any result pages that you see that you want to customize, you have that ability by coming right here, custom result list, the comparable result list, the custom comps result list. I point these out because these are all different sections. So custom results are the results that you see when we do a complete search and we click on custom. We're going to see whatever fields you have marked here. A comparable result list is simply the list of results you see when we do a comp search. The custom comp result list, of course, if you probably guessed it, is what you see when you do a custom comp search, and on and on and on. So each section of searching can be customized differently. And that's why there are these different fields. And when you click on them, they're going to look fairly similar. And again, you're going to see similar fields. This is why I didn't want to go over this at first, when in reality, we most of the time like to go over the settings and kind of get you established first. And I found this to be a little more confusing. Also, and quite frankly, mostly unnecessary. The most common fields are going to be selected here for you. I would encourage you to use the fields that are there. But then as you are going through the system, if you say, you know what, but I really want to search for X, or I really, really, really need Y, then I would implore you to come to the profile and settings and then make that selection for whichever section you need, be it the regular search, the comparable search, or the custom comparable search. Even in here, the prospecting columns, and that was in the power prospecting section. They're pretty much the same as these three. But again, this one just deals with the prospecting section, the results, the prospecting search page. So if we want to change the criteria we use to search in our prospecting, again, here we have our 13 fields, or excuse me, our 15 to 30 fields. That's how we search. These are the fields we use to search. Over here are the fields that actually get displayed after we complete the search. So do you see where they're very, very similar, but yet very, very different? And so again, I'd like to go over this last to show you those differences. Also, just to show you how the system is set up already. In most cases, you won't really need to go to any of these fields here, or this, or this, or this, unless you have something that you really need to know. Is there something that's missing from your report that you really need that can be of use to you? And if so, again, I would say to come to the settings, but moreover, to profile and settings here, but moreover, I would encourage you to call into tech support. Tech support is there for you 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, basically 8 to 8 in the morning. They're 8 to 8 Monday through Thursday, and then 9 to 8 on Friday, 9 to 5 on Saturday and Sunday. They are an amazing resource, always there and ready to answer questions. Just give them a call and give them your user ID, and they will come into your account and be ready to assist you with questions on CRS Tax, or any other program that you may have interest in. So make sure to use them as a resource as well. There are some CRS tax videos that I created that are on the SDAR page, as I showed you before, here under MLS and then Paragon training videos. You will get to a section in there that shows CRS training videos as well. So definitely, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to show you that old report. But definitely take advantage of the videos and the support team that's there for you. And overall, this really has been, I know, a lot that I gave you. We usually break this up into 2 different classes, and you kind of got everything all squished into one. So I hope that I didn't skip over anything that was of importance to you. However, we do have some extra time, at least another 10 minutes or so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay here online, and I'll point out a couple other things, but otherwise I'm going to be here to answer questions. I have a my question and answer box and chat box open, so please feel free to send in any questions that you have, or maybe something that I went over too quickly, and I'm more than happy to to go over that specific thing again. But otherwise, I really appreciate you all for attending today. And please come to my class tomorrow on how to complete an excellent CMA. Those classes are some of my favorite to teach because it's really it helps you learn about your neighborhood, and it's really amazing what you can learn by using the different systems. So I definitely encourage you to come to that class tomorrow. But again, I'll be here if you have any questions. I'm going to turn off my microphone so you don't have to sit and hear me breathe. But if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in, and I'll be right here to respond. But you all have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I hope to see you in my next class. Thank you again for coming.